Daniel Jeremiah is here on the Rich Eisen Show. So I had Mayock on the day after the Rams made that trade.
Okay.
And then I read your material on that same day. And the two of you were lockstep. It was not Goff that we thought.
I thought for sure it was Wentz.
Correct?
Yeah.
And then all the information men and women in our business start filling in. It's Goff, and it looks like it's going to be Goff on Thursday night. So what's the disconnect between the talent evaluators and the actual situation that's playing out in Los Angeles right now?
Well, to quote Howie Roseman, it's apparently different flavors of ice cream, and there's different types of pizza, all different kinds of stuff.
That one was a little bit of a mixed metaphor.
But a little bit. But look, me and Mike agree on the fact we think Carson Wentz is the best quarterback, and when you looked at the what they needed at that position for the Rams, it made sense to me. I can't speak for Mike, but this is perfect. Carson Wentz is perfect for what they want to do. They're a run-heavy team. You're going to have an athletic, mobile quarterback. It's going to help you in the running game a little bit, even getting him on the move and doing different things. He's a bigger guy. It made sense to me. But then all the information, guys, look, when Mike Silver, who's dialed in with Jeff Fisher, and then I think Adam Schefter, everybody came in and all said, okay, it's Goff. Okay, that's their job to get the information. I trust them on that.
Yeah, but what if this is the largest smoke screen in the history of screens and smoke? What if that's absolutely the case,
We'll have a good show on Thursday.
Well, we certainly would, because then the Eagles would be sitting there assuming that they don't evaluate Goff and Wentz the same. Is that possible that the Eagles are of just say, look, whichever one drops to us, we're cool with because we like them both that much? Is that entirely possible from an evaluation point of view?
Yeah, look, I have them as my 7th and 8th best players in the draft, so that tells you I think they're close. They're totally different guys, but I have them valued the same. Similarly, and I'm talking to the people in Philadelphia, they have the same way. Now, I think they're hoping that Carson Wentz falls to him, but if it is Jared Goff, I know they'll be happy about it. They want their guy for the future, and it's going to be one of these two guys. They're okay with it.
Yeah, well, who's not okay with it?
Yeah, Sam is not happy.
Sam Bradford's not happy right now. What are evaluators talking about Bradford's stance, and then Tom Condon coming in, as he said last night that on radio, that Sam doesn't want to be a place card holder wondering where he's going to be playing for the future. He wants to be the man for the long term.
How many years was the contract he just signed? It's 2 years.
Right.
But then in this whole thing, it's like he wanted to have the stability to know where he's going to be for the next 5 years. Well, then you should have gone and got a 5-year contract from another team somewhere, because nobody was committing to you for the next 5 years. They've committed to you for 2 years and really have even gone publicly and said they want you to be the starting quarterback for this upcoming season. It's baffling to me when you look at the money that he's made throughout his career and the fact he's
$78 million, by the way.
Not bad. He's sitting on a starting gig. And I just come back to, I think you had Breeze on, or you have Breeze on today.
Yeah, he was in hour one.
Look what he did after they went, they had Doug Flutie on that team, and then they went and drafted Phillip Rivers high in the first round. And Drew Brees could have just packed up his bag and said, I don't want to be here anymore. But he showed up and really kind of launched his career with what he did from that point on.
Yeah, and then went to New Orleans, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's interesting that you make that analogy, because with Bradford also, to me, is in a spot where he's in the money division, right? The NFC East. He is in a spot where, okay, the next kid is coming. It kind of takes the pressure off him a little bit, right? Where all he could do, ball out for a first-year coach, as opposed to what? Where is he trying to force himself to go? And why would the Eagles, holding all of the cards, trade him away? Why would they do that if they get Carson? Okay, I know I'm asking you 15 questions.
No.
But is Wentz startable right now? Right now in the NFL?
I think you could survive with him. I think he's mentally tough that he'd be able to survive. He's going to struggle early on, but I think he's made of the right stuff. He'll eventually figure it out. Ideally, I think you give him at least a little bit of time. I know that they've said we, kind of want somebody else to start. We heard it with Jacksonville. Remember,
sure,
the red shirt year that lasted all of about
5 games.
Yeah,
before Blake Bortles came
right in
out
there
for Chad Henne. So that said, is it possible for the Eagles to just say, look, we're of course we're going to hold on to you, Sam. We don't want to play Carson Wentz, and you're just going to have to sit here.
Yeah.
Regardless.
And it sounds like he's not going to show up for so that's his way of saying I won't be ready to play. So they got Chase Daniel, though, so they have another guy they could throw in there if they needed to.
Philly's just going to get pissed about it. Yeah. But the bottom line in my mind is you hold on to him. That's it. You don't care
unless
how many people...
What if Denver, my thing is, what if Denver tries to get involved here. That would be the one team, and I don't know what the compensation would be. I mean, if I'm Philly, I'd try and get a 2 out of them, but I don't think you'll be able to pull that off.
Well, Adam Schefter is going to be joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show in a matter of moments, or actually in the middle of this hour. You're going to stay for one more second, if that's cool. Before we do, let's give him the poll question at richeisenshow.com, and then throw open our phone lines, 844-204-RICH, if you've got a question about your team and what you think your team needs to draft. This man knows everything about everything. He's Daniel Jeremiah here on the Rich Eisen Show. Did I tap dance long enough to get the phone number out there and for you to pull up our poll question, Chris Brockman?
No, I was ready. You were just tap dancing for your own sake.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. I need to get my cardio in somehow.
That's true.
By the way, Rich's tap dance day 3 of the draft last year was the best tap dance in television history. You need to tell that story at some point in time.
Which story is that?
They had the signs wrong, remember? And then you had to fill over Scenics for like 2.5 minutes.
That's right.
It was phenomenal.
It was
phenomenal.
I've blacked out on that, by the way. I forgot. That was
wow. It was the best hosting thing I've ever seen.
Which signs were wrong again?
They had the desk. They had the wrong sponsor. So we're literally supposed to just show like 15 seconds of Scenics, then we come on air. As they start this whole thing, they realize we've got like the wrong car company, like a major boo boo.
Yeah.
So Rich, you got to fill. So they're just showing. I mean, they're showing aerial shots of Chicago for like a minute and a half.
And
Rich gave us the history of Chicago. I mean, I knew everything about Chicago.
And then there was a cow that knocked over a lantern.
It was impressive.
But millions of years ago, the Earth was a molten mass. What do you have for me,
All right,
Bradford?
DJ, who's most likely to be the Week 1 starter for their team? Sam Bradford, Tom Brady, Colin Kaepernick, Robert Griffin III.
Oh, I see RG3.
Wow,
I think they're gonna. They want to see what they have there.
What if
I don't know if it's going to work, but I think they're going to trot him out there and see what they have.
Do you think there's a chance that they can trade up for Paxton Lynch? Get back in the end of the first round, and maybe.
I think there's a real possibility they could do that. But I don't. Again, Paxton to me is somebody that would benefit from sitting.
So RG3.
I think we're going to see if RG3 makes it healthy through the preseason. I think we're going to see him out there.
Now, the fact that Kaepernick isn't your choice, is it because you think he's in Denver, or you think that it's so bad there that Blaine Gabbert's going to get the gig?
I think the Blaine train is taking off.
Wow. Right now, 74% agree with you. Robert Griffin
RG3. How about that? Okay, 844-204-RICH is the number to dial if you want to ask a question of this man right here with Daniel Jeremiah, with Adam Schefter right behind him with all the answers. This guy, Daniel, will tell you about who's going to get drafted and where, best of his ability. Adam Schefter will tell you if there's any movement afoot with what's going on. Odell Beckham Jr. is having a press conference right now being asked about a particular Redskins corner that he's going to have to face twice a year, and I don't believe that is named Breland. I don't think they're asking about him. Daniel Jeremiah next here on the Rich Eisen Show, live from Chicago.
37-yard field goal. This is it. It's already. The snap's good. The whole
block.
The kick is good. The Mountaineers are going to try to take it back to the big house. 30, 20, 15, 10. The Mountaineers have just beat the Michigan Wolverines.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Is that the way you play me?
Wow.
Chris Law,
You make a fat joke.
You don't even put it on the rundown.
Oh, yeah, that was out of the rundown.
That App State's
Corey Lynch, baby.
App State's finest Daniel Jeremiah is here. No, it's not vetoed. I put an Ohio State hat and jersey on for Graham Rahal. J.K. Simmons was on our show yesterday in Los Angeles talking about Ohio State. I can handle it.
I forgot how good that call is. I listened to it last night when you're coming in, and that was a great call. Like obviously, it's painful for you.
No, it's fine. It happened. It's good. And now I know.
Wow.
With somebody like Daniel Jeremiah here, and I want to talk to Daniel Jeremiah. And you just blocked me from doing that. Now I know how Brockman felt last night.
Wow.
On the aisle seat, trying to talk to somebody to his left, and you're in the aisle and he's in the window, right? Now I know how that feels.
Notice how he started stepping back on wanting to discuss it after the hints I dropped in commercial break that I was going to bring up.
Can't wait to get this story. Can't wait to get this story here.
What's a more painful loss for you, Rich? The App State or the Michigan State this year?
App State hurt real bad. It was the first game my son Xander was alive for as a Michigan Wolverine, and we watched it together.
Wow. Now I almost feel bad.
Well, and
no, you don't.
I really don't.
You don't.
You know who was doing the analysis on that
CD.
thing? Charles Davis for the newly formed Big Ten Network.
I believe it was the first
game ever in the history of the Big Ten Network.
It's a way to start it off. I was at a children's furniture store looking at my phone because I couldn't get the game. I probably had the Big Ten Network. I didn't know it.
Yeah.
So I'm at a kids' furniture store and I'm updating it. And of course they complete the long pass to Manningham. And I thought, well, this is all for nothing. We played great, but we're going to lose on the field goal. And so they line up for the field goal and I click refresh and it just says final score. And I'm like, wait, the score didn't change.
No,
what happened?
Had we known each other, I would have told you, don't worry, because Michigan, for some reason, just can never get their place kicking right or their kicking game. It's every freaking year. Somebody can't make a field goal or is obviously something up with the punt. But let's move on. Moving on, to use the Brian Gumbel phrase here. I've got Daniel Jeremiah here in the Rich Eisen Show studio. What are you hearing about the number 3 overall pick? What do you think San Diego's going to do with that?
3 choices. You've got Laramie Tunsil. Well, I thought was 3 choices. Now you're even hearing Ronnie Stanley's name mentioned, so maybe it's 4 choices. But I heard Laramie Tunsil. You've got Jalen Ramsey, and then you've got Buckner, DeForest Buckner. So everything I thought, okay, it makes sense, help Phillip Rivers out. I'm told, no, they're going to go defense. So if it's defense, then it's Buckner versus Ramsey. Then I'm told, okay, Ramsey they view as a safety to replace Eric Weddle. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little bit high to take a safety. So the people I'm talking to are kind of pointing me in the direction that, hey, this could be DeForest Buckner here.
And who are you hearing what might be hot and heavy for any of those names that calls up Tom Telesco and gives him the proverbial offer he can't refuse?
Well, that to me is a challenge because you have a group of 3-4 players that I just mentioned, and you got Joey Bosa and Elliott. So there's a crowd there. I don't know there's going to be a big market to go up for one of those guys because you can sit tight. If you're really Baltimore at 6 and Cleveland at 8, when you go through all the different scenarios, Rich, because the quarterback's going 1-2, they're both going to get great value there at pick number 6 and pick 8, and Cleveland's going to have a bunch of extra picks to boot.
Now, I had Ezekiel Elliott on the show last week. We were hoping that the Baltimore Ravens select him so he has to play for a Harbaugh, and he's got to call his team Baltimore because he won't say the letter M. But they seem fine at the running back position, especially. Did you see Trent Richardson? He's shredded now.
Yeah, he got himself in good shape.
He's
the Alabama running backs have all gotten in good shape this offseason.
Yeah, they've been sweating to the oldies this offseason, all those Alabama running backs. I've got Kevin in Oregon. Now, let's take a phone call for Daniel Jeremiah here on the Rich Eisen Show. Kevin? You there, Kevin? Well, we got Kevin here in Oregon.
Kevin is gone. We can take a few other ones
Kevin,
if you want,
Kevin wanted to ask about Dallas, so let me ask about Dallas.
Sure.
What do you got for me here?
Dallas, I think, everybody's talking about Ezekiel Elliott. I think if Jalen Ramsey doesn't go 3, I think Dallas will end up taking him at 4.
Ezekiel or Ramsey?
They'll take Ramsey, I believe. The thing about Jerry, look, Jerry loves his Arkansas guys. He still has it in the back of his mind. You got to believe that Darren McFadden, this is the year. He had 1,000 yards last year.
But Ezekiel Elliott's a different story.
He is. But you bring in Alfred Morris, and I just get the feeling, because I had said early on if the quarterbacks didn't go 1-2, that Dallas should take one of those guys for the future. But to me, it feels like Jerry's saying, okay, Romo kind of on the last legs here. Let's make a big push.
Matt in California. Is he on the phone line, Law? We got Matt in California here on the Rich Eisen Show. You there, Matt?
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Hallelujah. You're on the phone. You're on the line with Daniel Jeremiah. What's up, Matt?
Nice talking to you guys. So I've heard some analysts talk this year about the QB draft and how it's some of the worst prospects we've seen in a while, in a couple of years, the draft, the class entirely. But then we see 2 of the biggest shakeups, with the first and the second round pick, or the first and second draft pick being traded up for. Do you guys think it's worth it for those 2 teams to take a quarterback, or there's a lot more talent on the board, don't you think?
Appreciate it, Matt. I guess the question that a lot of people are wondering is this just the location, right? And the location being 2016. Yeah. That if you threw Mariota or Winston into this mix, we wouldn't even be looking at Goff and Wentz to be trading up for. What do you think about that?
I think that's correct because when I go off grades, I would have it Winston, then Mariota, then Wentz, then Goff. So these guys are behind that group now. I had originally said, I've had them as top 10 players, 7th and 8th overall on my list. If you'd have told me 2 months ago they're going to go 1 and 2, assuming there would have been a trade there at number 1, I said, okay, that makes some sense. I don't know if people are going to part with a ton of picks to go up there for these guys. But after it happened, you look at it and say, those teams, Philly with Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson, they need to be up and running winning year 3, or they're going to be gone. So you can't wait another year or 2 to go get that quarterback of the future. You got to get him now and get him up to speed so that he's playing well when it comes into kind of your money-making years there where your future's on the line. And when you look around the NFL right now, I think Howie Roseman's made this point, there are a dozen teams with quarterbacks in the mid-30s that are going to be in the quarterback market in the next couple of years. You're not guaranteed you're going to get another shot to get one of these guys.
But what about a second or third round guy? What about the Lynch, Cook, Hackenberg level here.
I think there's a drop.
Hogan.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty good drop between these top two guys and everybody else. And we can talk about how they're not, Mariota or Winston, but I think they're significantly better than the other options in this draft. I have Lynch as my 28th player, and I don't have another quarterback in the top 50. So that, to me, kind of somewhat explains why they've been ultra aggressive to go up to get these two guys.
Steve in Virginia, you're here on the Rich Eisen Show with Daniel Jeremiah. Steve?
Yes, sir. How y'all doing today?
We're great.
I'd just like to know where you think the Redskins might go with the 21st pick. Like, you think it'd be receiver, defensive tackle, or safety maybe even, or center?
Thanks very much. Appreciate it. What do you got for the Skins?
Look, I've heard some rumbling there with Carl Joseph, safety from West Virginia, so I think that's who I ended up putting him there in the last mock draft. Defensive tackle would make some sense with Pot Roast gone, so this is a great draft to do that, but I think almost the amount of depth that we have at that position, you maybe forego that in the first round. Get a safety. Maybe you go get a receiver like you said. Maybe even a center. Ryan Kelly I think would be great there with Kirk Cousins. And get the defensive tackle round 2, round 3 because we got a million of them.
I've got Laquan Treadwell, hour 3. Where do you think he winds up?
I think he's going to go in that receiver row there in the 20s where you've got Houston could take a receiver, Cincinnati could take a receiver, Minnesota could take a receiver. I think Laquan Treadwell lands one of those spots.
Well, after this show, I've got to head down to the auditorium and do a dress rehearsal with Mayock and Mooch and David Shaw. What are you done for the day? What are you doing?
I got to go over there to do our little outside set.
The outside of the set in Grand Park. Are you going to the Cubs game tonight with the rest of the NFL Network crew?
I'm not. By the way, you're singing, not throwing.
I am singing with Melissa Stark and Steve Mariucci, but
good move. Singing,
good move. But I mean, if it's going to be like 40 and misting, I'm not going. I can't do that.
You're going to Sam Bradford this thing?
Well, go hotty-toddy.
The Cubs didn't commit to you for 3 games. You want at least the 3-game
exactly.
commitment.
I'm going to Sam Bradford it. I am. Well, I'm going to have Tom Condon call in to say I'm not showing. But no, I'm going to do it tonight. Mayock's doing the first pitch.
Oh, the Boston College baseball player.
He's doing the first pitch with Kurt Warner. I do believe tonight. Right?
Have you done that poll question, by the way?
What?
If you had the choice, pitch or sing?
I'd sing. Nothing is more nerve-wracking than throwing out a first pitch at a baseball game because you know if you dirt it, you do anything, it's going to wind up on YouTube and on Twitter.
50 Cent?
Oh, my God. Well, 50 Cent, seriously, he made Nuke LaLoosh look like Nolan Ryan. Fitty.
Yeah. That was good for Euchre, though, because you got a lot of just a bit outside.
Exactly. Good to see you, Daniel Jeremiah. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.